He's my son. I adopted him 8 days ago. It's a bit new, but I think we're getting along fine. Don't you think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm feeding you well. Okay, the oldest first. My name is Sidse Babett Knudsen. I'm an actress and I have done many things in my life because I'm old.
My name's Ben Sharrock and I'm the writer and director of Limbo. Well, Limbo is about it centres around a young Syrian musician called Omar who's sent to a remote Scottish island to wait for his asylum claim. He forms different relationships with the people that are the other people that are waiting for their claims to come through. Meets some interesting characters like Helga, who Sidse plays. It's about Omar's journey as he struggles to come to terms with his identity as a refugee. It's quite a long story that goes back sort of 10 plus years. So before I went into filmmaking, my degree was in Arabic and politics, and during that time I spent a year living in Damascus in Syria. This was just a year before the civil war started. And then flash forward to going to film school, I had a short film project that was set in the Sahrawi refugee camps in southern Algeria, and ended up working with an NGO in the refugee camps, specifically on a project that was about identity and about sort of the effect of the label of being a refugee and how that affects identity. The first is that it's something that's kind of quite integral to my sensibility as a filmmaker, and something that I started to establish with my first film, Picadero, which again was this mix of humour and drama and this particular interest in an absurdist type of humour. We also need to do something that's slightly different and that fills a different space, and I think approaching this subject matter with humour was a good way to do that, but it was also something that was grounded in the research and speaking to people that have been through the asylum system, speaking to refugees and asking them how they would feel about a film about this subject that uses humour.
So she is also a foreigner, but she lives in these remote islands in Scotland and has really tried to appropriate. She's trying to pass as a Scottish person, and I think she has taken upon herself to teach these refugees about culture and our way of thinking. And the question is, who is she doing it for? And I think she's pretty much filling up sort of a void in her life, and the do-gooder seems really attractive.
So the project, I mean, I'd been writing the script for about a year and a half, 2 years or so, and I would speak to my parents about the project, and in the sort of stage where I kind of knew what the story was, and I would talk to them about it, and they said, or I think it was my dad that said, Sidse Babett Knudsen would be, you should get her. She would be great. She would be great for help.
Really?
Yeah. And this was like maybe a year or more before we even were even thinking about the casting. And we fortunately shared the same agent, Sam Fox, and in those conversations he brought up Sidse, and then there was that kind of moment of connection.
You sent me the script.
Yeah, yes.
And the first scene, it's still in the film, isn't it? It's still the first scene in the film, is close-up of a woman dancing very seriously. And that, I mean, the way it was written, it was so precise. It was just so precise. Sometimes you just read a scene and think, I could see myself in it straight away. Could see the level of humor. There's some, because I think with humor, you know, if it's a particular film language, either you get it or you have to spend 8 weeks together to understand it.
I think sometimes for myself, as when you're writing and as a writer-director, you're also visualizing the film as you're writing. And I'm someone that does try to put a lot of detail into the screenplays and tries to really kind of, I have to be able to see it when I'm writing it. So you get to a point where you kind of feel like you think that you know everything about your characters that you're creating and the environment and all of these different things. And then in that first conversation with Sidse, she brings so much to the table. So I'd already kind of worked across a lot of different languages, and I think in the run up to that, even, you know, during film school and my short films, and going back to sort of my study of Arabic and politics as well, I'm someone that's always been very inspired by other cultures, but I've also been someone that, I'm a language learner, you know, and I think in learning a language you also learn different cultures. So it's something that was quite, what's the word, instinctual, I guess, for me. And I think part of that though is as well, you know, taking a level of responsibility, and I think that working with people from different countries or with different languages or different cultures or all of those things.
So we were shooting in the Hebrides, and I felt the whole experience was a little bit surreal, because we were the unit, the film unit, and then there were the locals. And on this island, the way they see cinema is that there's this bus that comes in, remember?
Yeah.
So it's a big event, and it's really something that gathers people.
It's set on a remote Scottish island, but it is a real remote Scottish island, and within the film we have a mix as well of we had a lot of locals working on the film, but also performing in the film as well as the smaller roles or extras, and so there was a lot of kind of crossover in lots of different areas. We had as well people that had been through the asylum system, refugees as well, working in the film and as extras in some of the smaller spoken roles as well.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.